Hey there, welcome back to the Toy Box. I'm out in the camper today. I finished installing all of the internet equipment in here last night, and I wanted to show you what I did. The last video I made, I showed the power supply equipment and wiring harness that I built for it. The idea is to run all of the internet equipment off of the 12-volt system here in the camper and get an antenna up on the roof outside of this big box that's shielded with aluminum siding. And doesn't let the signal penetrate through quite as well, so getting an antenna up in the air and outside of the envelope of the camper hopefully will give me better internet reception when we're out camping, especially in fringe areas. So let me show you what I did. We'll start up top with the antenna, and then I'll show you the wiring. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to make this a how-to video showing step-by-step what I did. But I'll try and explain here a little bit as we go. This is the antenna that I bought, 4G LTE antenna. There's actually two antennas in here. I talked about this a little bit in the last video. So we've got two cables that run out of this and into this cable gland here on the roof. And as you can see here, I think the cables run in here. There's little rubber seals inside each of these that when you tighten them down, they seal up good and keep the water from penetrating inside of here. And then I've got this sealed up pretty good with RV roof sealant. It is every bit as ugly as the rest of the sealing job on the rest of my camper. It blends right in, so nobody's going to know that that was my handiwork, because it looks as bad as the original from the factory. The mount here, this antenna came with one of these L-shaped brackets, and I picked up another one on Amazon. The one I picked up on Amazon came with a small 10 or 12-inch tall tube mount that could have got me another, foot of height here. But I was afraid to have this be too much higher. I don't want to get above my air conditioner unit, because I know I'm safe with the air conditioner unit over here, with bridges and other things like that. I know this camper's not huge, but I figured it was probably better safe than sorry to try and to keep this down tucked a little bit on the top of the camper. So what I did was, instead of using the U-bolts and the tube, I took these and I drilled a couple extra holes in the tops and bottoms of these, and bought some shorter stainless steel bolts and ran them through here. So these are just bolted straight together with a washer, and then I've got nylon insert lock nuts so that they don't come loose. And this is screwed down into there's a 3-inch wide. I'm assuming it's two trusses underneath here that are about 3 inches wide. I used a stud sensor to determine where the edges were, and I had plenty of width here, good solid wood base to mount that into. So this is really nice and solid here. I'm not worried about wind or anything, as well as the fact that it's not terribly large, and this is rounded, so I don't think it's going to catch wind too much, and we never tow too fast anyway. So that's the antenna up top, and now I'll take you inside and show you what I did with the wiring. So I lucked out here in the electrical panel. I had two extra spots for fuses down here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see in here. There's still one available now at the bottom down here, but this first fuse I put in and added this, and hooked into the lug over here on the side of this is the cabling that I ran. So the internet equipment stuff that I put in is running on some 10 gauge wire. It's relatively large gauge wire for this, but I figured if I'm running it, I might as well run something big enough. This is a 7.5 amp fuse, so I'm well within the capacity of that cable for this 25-foot run. And that wire runs along through here and over underneath and into the edge of this cupboard over here. I don't know if you can see it or not. You can see a black and red pair of wires there in the center of the screen. That's the cable that I ran. Runs here, and then it runs up the wall. Runs up through this wall. And then out of the wall in here, and then up above, the wire penetrates then into the ceiling. And that's how I've got it run across over to this side of the camper here into this set of cupboards. While I was running the wire, I decided to put in a 12-volt outlet over here. So I've now got power, 12-volt power outlet right over here next to where the TV is. And the idea is that if we're ever stopped at a rest stop or somewhere that we need to, stop for a little bit and the kids are restless, I can plug a little, I've got a little 400-watt inverter that I can plug into here. And I could just sit on top of the TV and I could plug the TV into it. And the kids will be able to watch TV or something on that while we're sitting parked somewhere taking a break or something if the weather's crummy or they're just not able to go out and play because it's a truck stop or something. Inside here you can see the back of that cigarette lighter adapter there, and you can see where the power then comes down here through the ceiling, powers that, and then it takes off and runs up across the front of the cupboards. And then from there up inside here, runs across the top over here to this other side. On this end of the cabinet then, we can see where the wire comes in through the ceiling. I've got it coiled up here. Oops, you can see a little bit better. This flashlight's not working real well with the GoPro. I've got it coiled up here. There's 16 feet of cable. I definitely didn't need all of it. I probably could have shortened this up, but quite frankly, the factory ends on this cable are put on there well, and I'm not sure that I have the tools and capability to put ends on these cables nearly as well, so I'm afraid to reduce signal. So then what I've got over here is the power supply. Oops, there we go. We've got the power supply for the router itself. This takes the 12-volt DC from the 12-volt camper system here and just voltage regulates that to 12 volts. So when the truck is running or the camper is charging the battery at above 12 volts, that will keep providing a constant 12 volts for the electronics here. The other thing I've got is the power supply for a USB. This converts from 12 volts down to USB power, and this runs down to the USB cable that's going to run over to the Wi-Fi router that's mounted on the bottom. I'll show you in a second, mounted on the bottom of this cupboard. And all of those things then run out through this hole to the other side. And I don't have the equipment hooked up at this very moment, but the Ethernet cable here will plug in that runs over from the modem to the wireless router. I got the two antenna cables that run down from the roof. Those hook onto the connectors on either side of the modem that will mount right here. These screws are threaded into some little brass lugs that I have set into the side of the cupboard here. So when the thing is mounted, these just screw right in, and it's nice and easy to mount this right back up here when we're ready to go. Power wire, again, power regulated, and then we've got the Ethernet cable that's going to run over to the other router. And then down here, I have the Wi-Fi router. This is what provides Wi-Fi for us then. And the reason I did this separate, the modem will provide Wi-Fi, but having this allows me to just bring the modem without reconfiguring it for the way it's normally set up in the house, so it's just plug and play. And that Ethernet cable comes down. The USB cable here plugs into the side of this router. This is just up here with some heavy-duty Velcro. I've got a little grommet here, so it's not quite so ugly, where the wires penetrate through there on the underside where it's visible. So there you have it. That's the internet upgrades I've done here in our camper to get us set to be able to take our 4G LTE home internet with us on the road. And benefits of this new setup, again on 12 volts, we'll be able to work on the road. If we don't have shore power while we're actually traveling, the Wi-Fi I tested last night will actually reach from here to the cab of the pickup truck while we're going down the road, so the kids can have their tablets and that sort of thing in the back seat and maybe keep them a little occupied there so they're not bored out of their minds the entire time we're on the road. Sorry I wasn't able to do this as a step-by-step video. I had limited time to work with, and just didn't have time to set the camera up and mess with the camera. I just needed to get it done. I was fighting the weather and the daylight every day, and just wasn't in the courage to do a step-by-step how-to video. But hope you like this, and hopefully you found this useful. If you like what I'm doing, click subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you got questions, I love interacting with folks. Hit me up on Twitter, MG's Toy Box on Twitter. Same with Instagram, MG's Toy Box on Instagram as well. I'm starting to run out of daylight here, and I got a few more things to do. So till next time, go play with your toys.